Welcome back. A trigger warning. This next story is about rape, and more pointedly, it is a story about a victim who says her rural Rock County School District did not follow federal or its own policies in protecting her in the aftermath.
It's a trend our investigative team shows us is far too common still in K-12 schools. And in this case, the school went a step further and took a side. Naomi Coles reports.
I keep telling him no, that I'm not ready. I don't want to do this.
She just came home. We didn't know anything about it. She got really quiet and she was in her room like all the time. She started having suicidal thoughts.
We ended up being hospitalized 2 months later, and that's when I spoke to doctors and stuff, and that's when the story came out.
She just didn't think anybody would believe her because of who it was.
It's a small school. The dad's the superintendent. No one's gonna want to listen. No one's gonna pick me, a random student, over the superintendent's son.
When Hannah Engel remembers Parkview High School in Orfordville, she doesn't think about pep rallies or prom.
Even still today, I think about what I lost.
It's not just what she lost through rape, and because of it, attempting suicide. It's also what she lost in an education she says her school didn't protect.
Older students from his class, they would come up and they would make jokes about it. They would say, oh, he's gonna come get you, he's gonna do it again.
Students tried to get her to take back her story. She reported the constant harassment to school officials and asked for class changes to avoid being near her perpetrator.
After I told them about the harassment, they just said, we would look into it, and we'll get back to you. And they never did. Nobody checked in. Nobody asked me, like, hey, what can we do for you? Where can we make this a safer experience for you?
Basically, answer was small school. They're going to bump into each other in the halls. Not much we can do about it. If she's uncomfortable, she can come spend the day in the office.
They put me in the office, in the room where they put in-school suspended students, in the room with no windows and just a desk, and that's where I had to do my classes.
Title IX federal law requires schools to give sexual assault victims safety plans, protection, and investigate harassment that stems from assault. Parkview's own policies require that too. Over and over, Title IX experts say these are areas where K-12 schools haven't kept up with universities in following Title IX law.
K-12 is a bit more stuck in the dark ages somewhat.
K-12 school districts are much less aware of Title IX than colleges are.
We talked to two Wisconsin-based attorneys at different firms who specialize in Title IX law. Laura Zimmer investigates school violations. Amy Bogus' practice is victim-focused. K-12 schools are required by federal law, they explained, to launch an investigation into the type of harassment Hannah says she reported.
When you're a high school student, Title IX it's supposed to focus on the victim.
If there is harassment in a school that's related to a sexual assault, then yes, that would definitely be covered by Title IX and should be investigated.
While privacy laws prevent a school from discussing these investigations, victims have to know about them. Hannah and her family say that if there was an investigation, they never heard about it.
The high school needs to support that student in any way to ensure that they have access to an education without further harm and harassment. They have to make sure that the victim feels comfortable coming to school. They have the right to change schedules.
In a short statement responding to several questions, the school district, through their lawyer, said they had hired a third-party investigator last year to review their response in Hannah's case. That review didn't find any violations of state or federal law. They didn't respond to follow-up questions asking for more details about who did the review or the steps they said they took after Hannah's case to improve their processes.
So the school really did nothing to handle it.
Meanwhile, police investigated and corroborated parts of her story, but physical evidence was lacking because of the reporting delay. Ultimately, they recommended a felony second-degree sexual assault charge. The district attorney charged it as a misdemeanor fourth-degree assault. By the time he was convicted, almost 3 years had passed, he was in college, and he'd been accused of sexual assault again. The cases were convicted around the same time in 2020, both as fourth-degree sexual assaults. But it was what school officials did next that left Hannah in shock.
I was angry. I just disbelief. I never would have expected her to do that.
Parkview High's principal, Mary Stelter, wrote the judge a character reference to consider in sentencing. We got a copy. It's part of the court record. In it, Stelter praises his character, says he was rarely disciplined except for a couple minor things, and always greeted her with a smile.
As a woman and a mother and a principal of a school, she took sides, and you can't do that. You can't do that.
The letter does not violate any laws, and the school did not address it in their response to this story. But in terms of the neutral line schools are generally expected to toe in sensitive investigations, this is unusual.
It's really devastating for a victim that someone that's supposed to support them and help them with their education obviously is saying to them, you know, this person is more important. I don't really believe you. And that is devastating.
By this point, Hannah had left Parkview. She spent the rest of high school bouncing between online and private schools. And today, she's sharing this story for other women.
I think it's finally time for some accountability.
43 Investigates. I'm Naomi Coles. This was a team investigation from myself and our investigative intern, Braden Ross. One more thing. There's a reason Hannah's going public now. It actually starts with another arrest, her social media post, and then comments from the school board president. You can head online to channel3000.com to see what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you.